All right, so are you ready to dive into some serious Austin City Council action with me today?
Always up for a deep dive, especially when it involves City Hall. What juicy tidbits did you uncover this time?
Oh, we're talking about their January 18th, 2024 meeting, and let me tell you, it's way more exciting than you might think.
You're really going to make me look through all those
Okay.
boring minutes. What's so interesting about a bunch of resolutions and votes?
See, that's what you think. We're talking millions of dollars being thrown around, neighborhood throwdowns, even a car caper. Buckle up because we're about to decode it all.
Okay, you've piqued my interest. You know I love it when those city council meetings get a little... Yeah. So where do we even begin with this one?
Let's start with the thing that always gets everyone's attention, money. I was honestly shocked at just how much cash the council doles out in one meeting.
Well, they are responsible for managing a pretty hefty budget, right? It's not like they're handing out $100 bills on the street corner, though. Those figures tell us a lot about what the city is focusing on.
Okay, so spill it. What were some of the big ticket items this time around? What's got the city's attention?
Well, right off the bat, a recurring theme we see is homelessness. They approved a whopping $390,000 for the Austin Resource Center for the homeless. You're the ARCH.
Yeah, I know the ARCH downtown. What's the story with the funding?
Right, so it's run by this organization, Urban Alchemy. They're doing some interesting work trying to break the cycle of homelessness, and this funding is on top of what the city already gives them.
Interesting. So they're putting a lot of faith and money into this urban alchemy approach.
Seems like it. And it wasn't just Urban Alchemy. We're talking about agreements totaling over $7 million for the Southbridge and Northbridge shelters, too. Those are managed by the Austin Area Urban League and Family Endeavors.
Wow, $7 million. Clearly, they're taking the issue of homelessness seriously, at least financially. But let's be real. A lot of people tune in to these city council meetings for the drama.
Oh, you mean the rezoning battles?
Mm.
Yeah, those can get pretty heated. And you know me, I live for a good zoning debate. What went down this time?
Oh, this meeting did not disappoint, let me tell you. We've got dueling rezoning requests, some approved, some postponed. It's like a real estate drama unfolding right there in the council chambers.
That's where these dry minutes we're talking about actually come alive. They give you a peek behind the curtain of what's shaping Austin, literally. Like, take 2239 Cromwell Circle, for instance. They wanted some mixed-use zoning, maybe add some shops and restaurants, and the Vargas mixed-use project was also postponed. Both of those got some pushback.
So, classic case of not in my backyard. But what were they proposing?
Well, Cromwell Circle wanted to, bring in some mixed-use elements, maybe some shops or restaurants, to their mostly residential area. And Vargas was aiming bigger, probably more residential units, which, let's be honest, is pretty standard in a city like Austin that's growing like crazy.
Right. Everyone wants to live here, but nobody wants things to change. Classic Austin, am I right? But hold on, it gets even juicier.
Right.
We've got two other rezoning cases, 1512 Damon Road and 7606 Albert Road. And guess what? They got approved, even with people pushing back. What's the deal with that?
So in both those cases, they wanted to rezone to allow for more housing, more people living there. And with Austin's housing situation being what it is, prices going through the roof, the council is kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. They're feeling the pressure to build, 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 even if it ruffles some feathers.
So it's this balancing act, right? Trying to keep up with all the new people while holding on to what makes Austin unique.
Exactly. It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. And these rezoning battles are a perfect example of that struggle.
Speaking of struggles, what's the deal with this whole Kia and Hyundai situation? It sounds like something straight out of a movie.
Right. It's kind of wild. Apparently, some of these Kia and Hyundai models, they don't have this common anti-theft thingamajigger.
Yeah, like a basic safety feature, right? And people were taking advantage of it, I guess.
Big time. It was
Yeah.
like taking candy from a baby, unfortunately. But anyway, the council, they can't just order a recall or anything. Car manufacturing, that's a whole other ballgame.
So what can they even do? Just kind of shake their fists and hope for the best.
Well, they did pass this resolution urging a recall. It's more about, putting pressure on the big guys, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Right, right. So the city's saying, hey, we see this problem and it's affecting our people, so you need to do something about it.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like a strongly worded letter, hoping to get some action at a higher level. But, beyond all the car drama and headlines, there were some smaller things in these minutes that caught my eye.
Oh, Like what? Don't hold out on me now. You know I love the nitty-gritty detail.
Well, there's this whole thing about amending City Code Title 25. Not exactly a page turner, I know.
Yeah, that sounds about as exciting as watching paint dry. What's so special about it?
Okay, but get this. This amendment, it was all about beefing up the protections for the Butler Hike and Bike Trail. Making sure all the development happening around it doesn't mess with the trails, like natural vibe.
Oh, that's actually pretty cool. I hadn't even thought about that, but it makes sense. We've got to protect our green spaces, especially the ones people love.
Right, it's all connected. And speaking of things that affect how we get around, they also set a public hearing for changing the rules on bike parking for new buildings. Like how many spots they got to include.
Making Austin a little more bike-friendly. One parking spot at a time.
Exactly. Got to make it easy for people to choose those alternative ways to get around. If you're going to bike,
Yeah.
you got to have somewhere to park it when you get there.
Preach. Can't argue with that. Now, on a slightly less eco-friendly note, any mention of traffic in these minutes? I gotta ask.
Always on your mind, huh? Well, they didn't solve I-35 this time, sadly. But they did schedule a public hearing about updates to the Austin Strategic Mobility Plan. That's a mouthful, I know.
For those of us who don't speak city council, what does that even mean?
It's basically their master plan for all things transportation. Roads, highways, buses, bikes, you name it. It's a big deal if you, say, spend a lot of time stuck in traffic.
So pretty much required reading for any Austinite then. But hey, it's not all about getting around right. We gotta have somewhere to live once we finally reach our destination. Which brings me to another one of those evergreen Austin topics. Affordable housing.
Yes, the never-ending saga. And the council, they actually made a pretty big move on that front. They gave the green light to negotiate an agreement with Family Elder Care, Inc. They're going to be managing Pecan Gardens, which is an affordable housing community.
Okay, so what's the significance of that? Why is that a big deal?
Well, it's about making sure affordable housing sticks around. It's not enough to just build new places. You got to take care of the ones we've already got. This agreement, it's worth almost $1 million, and it'll keep Pecan Gardens going for another 10 years.
Smart thinking. Prevention is cheaper than a cure, or however that saying goes. But with all this talk about roads and buildings and budgets, there was one item on the agenda that really stood out to me.
Let me guess. Arts funding.
Ding, ding, ding. Because what's Austin without its art scene, right? So spill the tea. How much love did the arts get this time around?
Oh, they definitely showed the arts some love. They pumped up the Economic Development Department's live music fund by a cool $300,000.
All right, now we're talking. That's what I like to hear. But wait, there's more, right? There's got to be more.
Oh, there's always more. They also threw a cool $1.8 million at the Economic Development Department's Cultural Arts Fund. Because why not?
Okay, now that's what I call an investment. But as much as these minutes tell us about what the council's doing, I always find myself wondering about the stuff that doesn't make it into the official record. Like what went down behind closed doors to get to these decisions?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get the play-by-play, but not the behind-the-scenes drama. It's like reading a movie script instead of watching the actual film.
Right. I can only imagine the speeches and arguments that went down over those rezoning requests. Or maybe some, shall we say, persuasion happening around that arts funding.
Oh, I'm sure there were some strong opinions flying around. But that's what makes local government so interesting, right? It's all about trying to make everyone happy, which is pretty much impossible.
Yeah, it's like trying to herd cats. But hey, at least these minutes give us a little snapshot of what the city's thinking about, even if we don't always get the full story.
Exactly. And, for all the talk about budgets and zoning, these decisions, they really do impact people's lives, whether it's how easy it is to bike to work or finding an affordable place to live. It all comes back to these meetings.
It's like that saying, all politics is local, right? And by digging into the nitty-gritty of these city council meetings, we get a better sense of what matters to people here in Austin.
Absolutely. And it reminds us that even with a city as big and as, kind of crazy as Austin, people still care about the same things. Good quality of life, a sense of community, and a voice in what their city's going to look like in the future.
So to everyone out there who thinks city council meetings are boring or just for, political junkies, I hope this deep dive has changed your mind a little.
Me too, because behind every single line item in those minutes, there's a whole story waiting to be told. A story about the heart of Austin. And who knows, you might even find yourself getting hooked on local politics after all this.
Well, stranger things have happened. Well, there you have it, folks. Another deep dive into the wild world of Austin City Council. We've explored budgets, battled over zoning, and even outrun some car thieves. But most importantly, we've uncovered the human stories behind those official documents, stories about a city grappling with growth, change, and the never-ending quest for a better tomorrow. What other hidden narratives lie buried in these city records? We encourage you to grab your metaphorical shovels and start digging. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and as always, keep exploring.